Hello, 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 everyone. So much has happened since I've been gone, but I am back now and I am doing some new exercises, mainly ones to stabilize my hips. I was dealing with a lot of pain with it came to turnout. Like, I just had so much problems with it. It wasn't really working for me the right way. My inner hips were hurting, like on the insides, my joints. And it was really, really bothering me. I was like, okay, is it just because my anatomy won't let me do it? And I recognized that it's because of my hip stability. So the exercise I'm doing right now is one to enhance that stability on the outside of my hip specifically. Because clamshells weren't cutting it. Clamshells were only allowing me to be able to turn out when I bent my legs, which I have great turnout every time I bend my legs. My plie, I can turn out very well whenever I plie. But when it comes to straight leg stability, I have not been very good at it, like at all. So now the exercise that I do is I tie this band around my legs, put one straight in front of me, and the other one perpendicular to that. And of course, you can see what I'm doing here, and I try to hold them for about 5 seconds, depending on which set of exercises I'm doing. I can tell very much so that it is changing how I stand, how I feel, how often my hips are popping and moving like that. Like, I can tell that it is definitely stabilizing my hips actually. It's pretty hard to get stable hips if you don't know what you're doing, and I didn't. And I was in the middle of my room one day and I was like just going back and forth, like swinging my leg back and forth, and it was just popping every time. And the Holy Spirit just told me, like, put a band around your ankles and go straight out to the back. And I was like, oh, okay. And I tried it, and it wasn't popping as much after I did the exercise. And I was like, oh my gosh, this actually works. So I'm going to implement this into my, like, pretty much every day. Like, not every day, single day, but every day that I'm working out, I do that, so that they have a chance to develop on my rest days. I've changed my exercise schedule to match my day so that I can stay consistent now. Because it's been pretty hard to be consistent. That is partially why I have not been posting as well. I've been struggling with a lot of things. Some of the things are in the trauma videos that I talked about, but some of the current information on it I have not spoken about very much. I also recognized that I wasn't even able to actually use my turnout, like, at all. So much to the point that I would have made about 60 to 80 degrees of turnout. And you can actually hear in the video my hip popping as well as the band moving, but that's also my hip popping. And the more and more I do this exercise, the better I get at, like, just ballet in general. I actually made a video for Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to my mom and all moms out there. I made a video on my TikTok, and it was so much easier to film than normally any of my ballet videos would have been to film. And I recognized that, oh my goodness, this is the main thing. Like, it's literally just the standing straight leg stability. And it's also because I was not really warming up before my ballet classes for real. Like, I would try to do some, but I'd be in a rush and I'd sit down in the vehicle and my muscles would get cold. So just this whole entire exercise that I do on here is basically a warm up for a greater one. Now I understand that could be, challenging, and it could be for, someone who's a beginner. It could be they could have to do it on a totally different day than, this day. Like, they would do ballet one day and perhaps strength training another day. I usually do them both in the same day and use the strength training as an warm up for my ballet because that's what works best for my body. I've built so much muscular endurance that it actually takes a bit longer for my muscles to actually get warm for real. And I didn't really know that, and I just thought, I would just hop right into ballet, and it's such a bad idea, and it was making me, have ankle pains and things like that. It was just a big problem for me. Now the exercise that I'm doing is mainly, not mainly, but it's for my hamstrings. And, the backs of the legs are one of the things that need to be warm a lot when you're doing ballet, especially more so than other things sometimes. Honestly, no, I feel like they're just underrated in general when it comes to any types of exercise. Hamstrings really need to be trained. And a lot of times we don't recognize that hamstrings need to be trained in ballet specifically because, we have wrong corrections and we're trying to always stretch them and lengthen them. But one of the things that we don't really recognize or pay attention to is that the way that your muscles get more flexible is if they have more blood flow to be able to stretch farther. So the more you work them out and stretch them, the better, more flexible that they get, actually. It's much harder to just stretch them and just stretch them and stretch them, whereas when you could be exercising them and making them stronger in that flexibility as well, and also making sure that you're not injury prone. Now, this next exercise that I'm doing is a bunch of passe lifts, yes, passe lifts with a band slightly above my knees, so that I can train my external hip rotation with my glute stability and my hip flexors to lift that leg, actually. And I'm pretty sure that is helping too. It helps me get very warm as well. It's like kind of aggravating at first. My hips pop a little bit, and then after a little bit, it's fine. They move more smoothly. When I don't do them all together, I can tell they are not, they don't move smoothly at all. And I have, like hip pinching pains kind of when I don't do them. Next one, this is just a regular adduction with 10 pounds on the bottom of my leg to make it heavy because I can, when I'm at the gym and I do the hip adduction machine, I can do the whole stack of weight. So it's like 160 pounds. That's because, I went to Planet Fitness. So this is actually very light for me. So I do like 30 to 40 reps just to get myself feeling that muscle. And I recognize that my uh, adductors have been very weak as well. Like they have the potential to get strong, but I haven't trained them to be endurance. Like they can produce a lot of force, but not over a longer period of time. So the more reps for me, the better. And the more I use them to stabilize, like in side planks with one leg elevated and using your inner thigh really helps as well. But this is just to basically get it warm. Now, this is an exercise that I really just did not like at first, especially when I first started ballet, because I simply could not really do it. It was so hard for me to do. But laying down like this, it really gets your glutes activated very well. And I try my best not to bend my leg when I squeeze my glutes so that my leg can come up because I want it to be straight for grand battement specifically. Recognize that pointing my foot actually was helping me with that mind to muscle connection of not bending the leg because I also sprint as well. I'm not currently with a school or a track team or anything like that, but I want to be. And I practice sprinting a lot, so it's natural for me to bend my leg very quickly. So I point to take that little mental cue away so that I can really keep my leg straight. Now I'm on the abductors, and these are really, really good. I've loved these for years. I've been doing them ever since I used to train martial arts, and they're just very good exercise. After I stopped doing them is when I started getting more hip pain, and I don't even really know why I stopped doing them. I just kind of did at a point, and then I had to get back on it, and I have been on it for the last few years again because this is a good exercise. And I'm actually doing the light version of this here. Normally, I will have, four bands around my legs with these weights, just to give it more oomph. And that really helps with certain things like your standing split leaps, to the front. I forgot what those are called. Sometimes we call them a Russian in ballet because, they do those very well. They would kind of trademark them in a way. And I don't really know what else they're called besides center split leap, but they really help with those. These help with those too because they help you uh, be able to move your legs out to the sides without feeling like your muscles or your tendons are going to tear. So the more you have everything strong, the better your ballet is going to get. And that's what I've been learning. That's what I'm putting into practice now. Um, a while ago, I got a comment that was like, basically, you're doing everything wrong. Your foundation is wrong, but you have natural talent. You know, you could go far with this. Yada yada yada. It was a very good comment from a woman who had been doing ballet for like 30 years or something. She was like a bit older than some of the other people, that I've heard talking about ballet. So she's wise and she knew what she was talking about. And I was like, oh, okay. So I looked at all of my ballet videos and saw what she was talking about my placement and my alignment and was like, oh my gosh. And I basically just like went into a mental laboratory and tried to find out everything that I possibly could. I've like written down and cataloged so many of all of my strengths and all of my weaknesses in ballet specifically. And I had told y'all a while ago that I was going to make a video about strengths, and then I, was stopped with that idea because I was like, ugh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to film it in my room. I will be, but I didn't know that I was going to be able to film it in my room and this, that, and the third. But I've been paying attention to how my body is, so that I'm getting it stronger, so that the strengths that I actually have are strengths for real, not just things that make me feel in pain after I'm done doing them. Because the strengths that I was calling strengths were usually just things that I could do. And afterwards, I would, have some type of pain. But now I've been focusing on all of the things that really help pull your body into a moving unit. Like when I was in martial arts, I had the best body. I was always the most flexible child in my class, and or adult, depending on if I was in the adult classes, which sometimes I was. And I was always usually the strongest, not necessarily absolutely strongest, but strongest relatively. And actually, when I think about it, I was um, the absolutely strongest with if it were the children's class. So I aim to be the same exact way in ballet. I become nerdy about a thing is how I get really, really good at it. I just max out all of the knowledge that I have on it, and I train and I train and I train and I get better and better. There's no need for discouragement when you have practice. And I've heard that people, say that practice makes perfect, and then I've heard other people say practice makes progress. I don't care. I'm going for both. I'm just trying to get better either way it goes. You know what I'm saying? Like I really, really care about what I'm doing. It's like I've found the joy back, and the reason why I was doing ballet and dance in the first place. It was two reasons: to give glory to God and because I loved it. And I have those two reasons back, and it also brings me to another one of my points that I have really been wanting to make and wanted to tell you guys for a long time. Though that point is, I am not going to YAGP for two reasons. One of those reasons are that I do not have the funds to make it there and make it back in a decent fashion and still be in a good place financially. I would like to get better and stronger in my own physical body, um, and will compete in other ballet competitions later on, things that last up until you're 26. I'm 20 right now, and I can train for a little bit longer and do multiple ballet competitions and win. And then there are some that even last until you're really, really old. So I just want to be into those types of competitions instead of YGP. And one of the main reasons I wanted to be in YGP is because I wanted to feel validated for the fact that I'm mainly self taught and that I could make it on my own, or that I could make it with having started late. And now I just mainly care about doing it in general, doing ballet in general, not any of the um, stereotypes of not being able to make it, or not any of the fears that I won't be as good as other people. None of that, but just simply doing it because I love it. And I recognize that YAGP was stressing me out and it was giving me too much anxiety, and it was making me feel like I was breaking my heart over something that really was not the overall goal. The overall goal originally was just to do ballet. And you see here in these little sped up montages that I have, that I do rest in between sets as well. Like it looks like I just go back and forth between them. I do take some rest breaks a little bit here and there, and Um, Now I am doing goblet squats and astagraphs or ATG split squat. These two exercises are good for two main things. ATG split squats are good for your ankle stability and moving your knees over your toes, which also helps your patellar tendon and any tendon in your knee, really. Now, the goblet squats help with your ankle mobility and your hip uh, external rotation stability. And these two things, when I do these two things before I do ballet, man, my body feels very, very good. It feels much better than it normally would. And these exercises help me, jump higher. They help me land better and give me overall better bodily alignment and correction so that some things aren't just so far off. And they also help even out muscular instabilities, like one leg being bigger than the other, or one side being a little bit more turned out. They help deal with those types of things because they're trying to even you out the whole time. You can't really do a good goblet squat with one side of your body being opened up in the hips more so than another side. So you have to shift your weight into the middle perfectly. And for these, it's one for the ATG split squats, which is what I'm doing right now. It's one or the other. So you have to, if I have the same exact weight, I have to be equally as strong on both sides. And that really helps balance things out quite a bit. Another thing the lady said is that the exercises that I was doing were not good for what I was trying to be able to do. I don't know if I agree with that or not, but I know that these exercises are helping. And I've been paying attention to the things that people say about the ballet just to make sure that I'm being as meticulous with it as I want to be. And also, guys, please go follow me on TikTok. I will put um, my TikTok address in the description of the video so that you guys can see it and go to my TikTok because there are people like me on there. I do some fun stuff. We have fun on there. So go subscribe to my TikTok, not subscribe. Oh my goodness. Follow my TikTok, like, comment this video on this video, and just thank you all for joining. And another thing is I will be doing some more updates on the trauma and healing playlist that I have made. And I will continue to talk about, my journey through life and how things have gone, not just all the terrible humdrum stuff, but I will tell you about I guess the testimony part of it and how things have gotten better because my life obviously is much better than it used to be. Even though I've still had some problems or whatever, my life has drastically gone up in quality immensely. And I just want to thank you all for whoever has been seeing and supporting my journey. Thank you all. I love you people.